here's something that's interesting, hopefully for you as well. Okay, so Schober's test we used to use, we took it from the ankylosing spondylitis community, and we used to use it in the military to test spinal flexion. And you want roughly about 5 degrees of spinal flexion. So when you flex forwards, okay, if we mark on that, you want to move 5 centimeters. And that's a kind of normal value. If you're moving under that, chances are the spinal flexion that you should have isn't there. So that's Schober's test. So what we're then thinking is that can we use Schober's test in the dreaded tail tuck? Okay, the Americans call it a butt wink. I do not recommend that you type butt wink into your work computer. Okay, you will have a meeting that becomes very uncomfortable. However, that happened to me and something else as well. So this dreaded tail tuck that we're talking about is when you go down to a certain depth, the pelvis will naturally tuck under. Okay, and we'll talk about that in a minute because that's important. So if we reverse Schober's test, if we have a look at someone, okay, Harry there is in deep squat, okay, so he's in a deep squat position, he's a CrossFitter, okay, and we're having a look at how much spinal flexion is going on. He's got 5 centimeters of spinal flexion in deep squat. Okay, that's the equivalent of him touching his toes. My question is, do we want to be loading that movement pattern? Okay, now it's fine if we load it with, say, 100 kilos, he can probably get away with that. But if he's pushing to 200 kilos, as some of my athletes are, all of a sudden it's a game changer. Okay, so we've got to be cautious of giving people generic advice. Make sure it's specific to that athlete. So the reverse Schober's test is something I'd like you to take away and use in your clinical practice. Get somebody in that deadlift position, or first pull position, or squat position, and then just measure them. How much spinal flexion is going on? Probably worth knowing about. Okay, I'm a big fan of functional movement screening. We did our course in 2012. Yeah, okay, and then got a study out on functional movement screening and CrossFit. I presented that last year. So the functional movement screening is normally 7 tests. So what we can do is we can fast track now and just use the deep overhead squat as a screening tool. Okay, and basically, if you get a 1 on the overhead squat, chances are you're going to fail the FMS and you've got a high likelihood of injury. Okay, even though that's been disproven, your movement dysfunction is there. Okay, and that you may get injured, you may not. However, you have movement dysfunction, and we need to do something about that. If you score a 2 and above, doesn't matter. So we can now shortcut the FMS, and we can just do the overhead squat. Really, really interesting. It's still a great way to rank and rate movement. It doesn't predict injury at all. Okay, that's the article that I was talking about. So the big criticism of the FMS is that we're not loaded and it's not detailed enough. Okay, it's a bit too generic for what we want. Okay, and more to the point, if we only see the movement faults when we load that movement pattern. Okay, we don't see them with a bit of PVC pipe or a bit of wooden dowel. You've got to load them up to make the invisible visible. Okay, so what sort of questions should we be asking? We're looking for pain, we're looking for asymmetry, we're looking for dysfunction, and we're looking for stability in deep squat. Some of my athletes can get into deep squat, but if I just push them with a finger, they're going to fall over. So we need to look for the foot profile. Always assess your athlete's bare foot so that you can see what's going on with that foot arch, ankle dorsiflexion, tail tuck, and spinal flexion. And we're asking the same question: can we load this movement pattern? So back to this initial one, we've covered the stuff on the left. I haven't got time to go through the forward lean in the head position. You'll have to come on our course for that. We're going to go through the technical awareness now, descent, depth, okay, and ascent.